covering the stories that impact your life, your town, your state, and your future. This is the Means Report with your host, Brad Means.
Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the Means Report. We certainly appreciate you spending part of your day with us, where today we're going to catch up on a lot of local, state, and national issues being tackled by the United States Congress. And Congressman Rick Allen has been kind enough to stop by today. We're so grateful for that. Always does a great job updating us on what's happening with the issues on Capitol Hill, as well as voters' concerns here at home. What are they saying? And of course, we'll wrap up this edition of the Means Report with ways that you can stay in touch and help us get more great guests like Congressman Rick Allen. And I want to welcome you back, Congressman, during your time back here in the 12th District.
Thanks, Brad.
We appreciate it. How's everything going during your, it's not off time, but non-Capitol Hill time?
Well, I think Jesse Waters said it was our vacation.
No, it's not true.
But no, it's not. We have 8 new counties, and we have now a total of 24 counties that we're serving. Great counties, and we're spending our time in every county. We're going to probably be in every county at least twice, and some counties multiple times because of activities and things like that. So we're on the move, meeting with educators, businesses, city and county officials, and we're getting an earful.
I bet. And as this broadcast goes on, I want to find out what those folks are saying to you.
Yeah.
Let me just ask you a general question to start. You're coming up pretty much on a decade in the U.S. Congress, serving the 12th. How is it being a congressman? And which is a question I think I asked you right after you started, but how's it going? And is it easier now that y'all have the majority in the House?
Well, it's more constitutional in that we're back to regular order. In other words, it's not coming through the Speaker's office. It's not a closed rule, no amendments, that sort of thing. We're in regular order. Everything's coming through committees the way it's supposed to. Comes to the Rules Committee, they make the rules, we have amendments, and we're passing legislation to deal with the issues that are confronting the American people today. Inflation, for example.
Sure.
We passed H.R. 1, the Lower Energy Cost Act, and basically what we're doing is we're saying we're all in on energy. We're going to end the war on fossil fuel. Now, sustainable fuel is great, but we want to be energy dominant again, and that will bring down the cost of everything.
Yeah, I want to talk about how
there's fuel in everything, and of course we passed the Parents' Bill of Rights, which allows our parents to actually understand what their children are being taught, understand how their tax money is being spent, and that they're answerable to them. We passed the Choice Agreement Act, which had in it the association health plans. We know that like Medishare, which was given a waiver from Obamacare, and the unions were given a waiver from Obamacare, and their premiums are half what we're paying under this government. The government runs health care today under the insurance company.
Let me hit some of those key issues you mentioned as we go on. First, though, keeping the questions kind of general. Donald Trump is on everybody's minds, not only for not attending, we record this on a Thursday, not only for not attending the debate on Wednesday night of this past week, but also because of his looming appearance in Atlanta, which will happen later today, the day of this taping.
Yeah.
Is he going to be the GOP nominee for president?
Well, here's what I tell people. The way we do it in the Republican Party is we let the people elect our nominees. I mean, folks have asked me, are you endorsing a candidate? I said, why would I do that? Why would I exert my influence over the voting public out there? Let them make that decision. People, I guess, think that our people aren't capable of that. Now, the other party, they pick their nominee. In our party, the people elect the nominee.
But do you have a gut feeling?
Yes. Right now, in my district, Trump's going to win.
Right.
Because I'm out there talking to people working every day, and they think he represents their interests the best. And they've been hit hard under this Bidenomics or whatever. Bidenomics.
Yeah.
I mean, they're taking $700 less a week is what it's costing them.
What are we going to do about inflation and economic issues? Not only that, interest rates. That was my third question to you today, Congressman, is when is this going to stop, and are we going to feel like we can get ahead again?
Well, I can tell you the new majority, as slim as it is, we are reining in spending. Mm-hmm. We're trying to claw back a lot of the spending that the Democrats did when they had the White House, the House, and the Senate. I mean, it was $5 trillion that they threw into this economy, coming out of a closed economy, which caused all of the inflation. Government spending creates government borrowing. Treasury has to get involved. They have to print money, put it into the system. Those are then invested in treasuries to secure our debt. And all of that's the perfect recipe for inflation. Plus, you got a war on fossil fuel. I mean, you know, when you create more government regulation, that creates inflation. It costs more to produce those products.
Are we going to have gasoline-powered engines in 10 years, 20 years?
Well, Honda's getting out of the small engine business. That is what this administration is trying to direct a free market economy. It will not work. It's never worked. They're trying to do it in China, and you know they're going upside down over there. You know, it needs to be free market. The bottom line is this: when we unleash it just happened 4 years ago. I mean, we unleashed the economy. We unleashed oil and gas. We got out of the way of the American people. We said, go to work. Tell us what is keeping you from growing your company and hiring more people. And we fixed all of that under the Constitutional Review Act and under the Tax and Jobs Act.
Let me ask.
And once we did that, I didn't create the best economy in the world. The people out there created the best economy in my generation. And that just tells me the American people, they've got it, but you got to get this government out of their way.
Let me ask you a few questions about committees that you serve on, because they're important, and you have more sway now that your party's in power in the House. Energy and commerce. You oversee a lot of things, including our nation's cybersecurity.
80% of the economy.
How are we doing in that regard, and how's Augusta contributing?
Well, we got challenges, but we need more spectrum, and the FCC is dragging their feet on that. We've got in our committee has been having hearings on that, and we're going to deal with it because 5G's here. We're in a arms race and digital race with China.
How do you get more spectrum, more broadband, or whatever, more spec? Do you purchase it from somebody?
Yeah, you share.
Does the FCC create it? You share.
Yeah, you have to.
With what? Like a cable company, a phone company?
Well, the military has a section, and then private companies have a section.
Okay.
The question is, how much does the military need? How much are they using? And can the private sector now share with the military? And the FCC is studying that. Lord knows when we'll have decisions on it, but we're pushing them. But the bottom line, as far as what's going on in cyber, I mean, we're the tip of the spear right here. We have the largest cyber center of excellence in the nation.
And the nation knows that? They recognize us?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, good.
We just had 6,000 technics in our city.
Yeah.
And they've signed a 5-year contract to come back the next 5 years.
For the TechNet conference, right? It was huge.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, huge. And these are the smartest people in the world. And this is the new frontier in warfare.
No question about it. Education and Workforce Committee, I know that you're concerned about our teachers and their well-being and our parents and their well-being, and you're expressing that, pushing that through the Parents' Bill of Rights Act.
Right.
Am I accurate in saying that this is a bill, this is a measure that would let parents know everything that's going on at their child's school?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why would anyone be opposed to that? Do they think it's just too much government interference in our schools?
Well, the teachers union is opposed to it.
Why don't you let the states and local school boards handle their business instead of the government getting involved, the federal government?
Yeah, the Department of Education. The Department of Education is what's perpetrating all of these: critical race theory, gender affirming care, transgender care, and all these things. And children, have quite an imagination. And of course, they're picking up a lot of this on social media. And of course, what that's contributing to is a huge mental illness problem. It's epidemic in our country right now.
What about what you're hearing from people throughout the district? I know during this work period, when you're not up on Capitol Hill,
Right.
You're hearing from a ton of people. Let me start with something that's near and dear to your heart, and that's our farmers. What are they saying to you? What kind of feedback?
They're having big problems. Not only are we dealing with EPA on, well, we did fight the U.S. waters again.
Oh yeah, I remember
and
that.
we won in the Supreme Court, so now our farmers can plow across a mud puddle.
Right.
I mean, you cannot believe how ridiculous these things are. But obviously, their input costs. In fact, everyone's input costs have skyrocketed.
Are y'all subsidizing them anymore, helping our farmers out?
The Farm Bill provides for safety net programs.
Yeah.
Commodity prices right now are pretty well taken care of. They're not making more money, but I think they're going to get through this harvest. But, commodity prices fluctuate. And that's why you have these safety net programs, because a farmer plants, he invests, and has no idea what he's going to get for that crop. It's basically a commodities market.
No, you're right. I want to talk to you about what other constituents are saying to you. We talked about business owners a moment ago. I want to find out what business owners have to say to you, Congressman Rick Allen, and we'll do that when we begin our next segment right here on the Means Report. Welcome back to the Means Report. 12th District Congressman Rick Allen is our special guest today. Congressman Allen is hearing from people all over the 12th District during this work period before the session resumes. Let me ask you what business owners are saying to you. I go in a lot of businesses, we all do. We notice things, staffing concerns. Are you hearing that?
Workforce is the number one issue.
Is it really?
That's why restaurants are only open 4 or 5 days a week now versus 6, and so they just had to cut back because they only have so much help. What we have right now, what they did when they passed the American Rescue Plan, that put $2 trillion out there in child tax credits and everything else, and of course folks said, well, I'll stay at home.
It's easier.
Yeah, and so what happens is, like, we've got 45 million people on safety net programs right now. It has been as high as 57 million in the Great Recession. 21 million of those people are considered work capable, ages 18 to 57. And what we would like to do is allow those folks to keep their safety net and go to work. In fact, we want to require them to work at least 20 hours a week.
You think that stands a chance?
We have 10 million open jobs. Well, it's not bipartisan. It's strictly partisan.
Aren't those pandemic programs, though, going away and people are going to be forced to have to go back to work?
Yeah, eventually, but it takes a while for that money to go through the economy. Yeah, because we stopped it and we're clawing money back in this slim majority. And we're going through the appropriations process right now, doing that.
Why don't people want to go back to work now, though? You're right. You go in a restaurant and you're going to wait a little bit longer for service because there aren't enough servers. And those that are there, to use a restaurant term, are in the weeds constantly. So where's the lack of motivation these days?
It's an economic decision. They get more money from the government than they do working. And yes, they're working.
Listen.
I mean, they're doing some side things. I mean,
Okay.
but right now it's more of an economic benefit to take advantage of these government programs than it is to actually go get a job. Now, what we've discovered is where we've done waivers in certain states because they, like Maine has an elderly population. 85% of the people who were required to go to work moved up the food chain so fast that they were off government assistance in less than 2 years. And get this, drug use dropped in the state of Maine by 50%. Grandma's right. Idleness is the devil. And law enforcement will tell you that too. Idleness is the devil's workshop.
It's the devil's workshop.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about another pandemic-related matter, and that's these whispers that I'm hearing about another shutdown or more mask mandates. Is that real? Is that coming back?
I think it's rumored because it's a presidential election year and they want to go back to mail-in voting everywhere.
what do you advise us to do? Should Americans ignore these mandates and these whispers that we're hearing on mainly the internet?
We listened to advice the last time, and we got some bad advice. We should not have shut this economy down. We should have isolated those who were compromised, and we should have, and again, we were told in a classified briefing we'd lose 3 million people, and that it would cost us our healthcare system. In other words, our healthcare system would shut down because there would be people dying in the streets of America. What we learned is if you can get the therapies, and again, they were controlling the therapies, but now we can get the therapies. Yes, there are people who are getting sick, but we can get them well.
Real quick, let me ask you this, what it would look like if a business owner or a school system bucked the mandates, if there was another attempt at mask mandates and shutdowns and said, no, sir, not again, I'm not doing it. Does Governor Kemp have the power to say, Georgia's going to skip this shutdown
Yes.
and we're going to keep handling our business?
Right.
Does he? Or do we have to do what the government says or the National Guard blocks our business door?
Governor Kemp bucked the President of the United States in the last pandemic. He said, we're open in Georgia. Our health professionals were already in harm's way. Our teachers said, we care about these students. We missed 1 month of school. There are congressional districts in this country where children haven't been back to school in 2 years. And that's because of the teachers union. And let me tell you, it is going to be a difficult day in those states. And they've lost these children. But we have great leadership in the state of Georgia, but we got great people in the state of Georgia. And they said, we love these children. We know how important this education is, and in place in education versus, and of course we're trying to get broadband done, but again, you're dealing with 3 government agencies and.
Well, that was one of my questions. Yeah. President Biden is pushing this rural broadband access agenda. And I thought to myself, that's got to have bipartisan support. Who doesn't want everybody to have the World Wide Web? Is it that something that Democrats and Republicans?
We've appropriated the money for it. But now,
great.
Well, here's the way it works. The Congress appropriates the money. Then it goes to the administrative branch to implement what we have passed by law and said we want everybody in this country should have broadband, just like the Rural Electrical Act back in the day.
Yeah. So you're saying the same thing?
So we've got
Joe Biden is saying, where's the disconnect?
Yeah, the disconnect is in the agencies. FCC, USDA, and the Department of Energy are all getting funds for this. And I think the Department of Education, it's all split up across all these agencies. And I'll be honest with you, the government's not real good at contracting business. What I want is it block granted to the states. Georgia will get it done. And we're working on that.
Okay, so handle it on a state-by-state basis. Couple more questions if we have time. I don't want to lose you without asking you about our veterans. I know you visited the VA in Augusta, as you always do, and you visited the VA in Statesboro.
Right.
Are we caring for our veterans as we should?
COVID was difficult, very difficult. Again, we're trying to limit the spread of COVID. Visitors were not allowed. A lot of our veterans' children want to make sure that dad and mom being taken care of. And so they weren't allowed to visit, and there were a lot of complaints and that sort of thing. But we've come through COVID, and, from what I can tell, is that we're back, and they're working on staffing. They've got workforce problems.
Yeah.
And we're getting there.
Well,
but it's been let me tell you, COVID was tough.
Let me ask you as my final question.
Yeah.
I think we have about a minute. What can we do to make our voices heard? I know we can vote, but if someone's watching at home and they agree with you or they vehemently disagree with you, how do we make our voices heard at the congressional level?
Well, obviously, you can contact our local office. If you have a problem with the federal government, call us.
Okay.
Our constituent services can help you. Obviously, we've been dated by passports. The agencies are not getting it done. In fact, we passed a law in Congress to tell them you got to come back to the office okay? And of course, it's sitting in the Senate over there. But the bottom line is, we're having a difficulty, with these agencies at the federal level. But the bottom line is this: folks have got to exercise their right to vote. If the American people will show up and vote, and I'm telling you, in Georgia, we passed the laws now. Your vote counts, and you vote and research the candidates. And, the American people will be real pleased with the result. But if you sit at home and just say, I'm done with it.
It does no good.
Well, my dad, I asked him why he was involved in politics one time, and he said, son, and I think this came from one of our founders, he said, apathy is the enemy of freedom. And if all the American people, and I'm talking about hardworking American people, go vote, we'll win every election, and we'll represent them, and we'll grow this economy. And their paychecks will grow. Their income versus their expenses can be fixed.
Well, Congressman, and I say this to Democratic lawmakers as well, y'all are not sitting on the sidelines. Y'all are involved serving our nation, and we appreciate you.
Well, it's a privilege to serve you.
We appreciate it. Congressman Rick Allen, a frequent guest of the Means Report. When we come back, we'll let you know how you can help us get more great guests. Your input is valued here. Your voice is heard on the Means Report.